Power is a seductive force. It gives the illusion of control, of invincibility. But what happens when that illusion crumbles? Madame Claude is not just a biofilm, it's a psychological portrait of a woman who wasn't just selling pleasure, she was selling power. But what happens when the woman who controls desire starts losing control herself? This is the portrait of a woman who turned prostitution into power, only to be consumed by the very system she thought she mastered. Fernande Grudet, better known as Madame Claude, was not a typical protagonist. She was not a victim or a hero, but something far more complex. A woman who rejects weaknesses, erases her emotions, and turns survival into an empire. But to understand her story, we must first understand what she was running from. Born into poverty and subject to abuse, Madame Claude did not dream of love, happiness, or even freedom. She dreamed of power, because power, to her, was the only way to erase her past. She abandoned her daughter, severed ties with her old life, and reinvented herself in Paris. But she didn't just want to survive, she wanted to dominate. In a world where men dictate the rules, she found a loophole. She didn't sell her own body. She sold access to others. She positioned herself as a gatekeeper of desire, providing the most powerful men in France with carefully curated women. It was not just prostitution, it was an industry or influence, and with influence came protection. But power in the shadows is never absolute. To maintain her empire, Madame Claude had to make deals, not just with the wealthy clients who indulged in her services, but with the police and the mafia. Protection came at a price. Sometimes it was money, but other times it was something much darker. Information, favors, risks that placed the women under her care in dangerous situations. She claimed to protect her girls, to be their mother figure, and in many ways she was. She provided for them, taught them how to survive, gave them access, a sense of belonging, but make no mistake, her first priority was always her business. One of the most compelling dynamics in the film is between Madame Claude and Sidonie, a young woman who becomes her right hand. Sidonie is more than just an employee, she is a reflection of Claude's own past. Both women were abused, both sought refuge in the underworld, and both believed that power could erase pain. But Sidonie represents something Claude cannot control: emotion. Unlike Claude, Sidonie does not fully numb herself. She still feels, still wants, still hopes, and that is precisely why Madame Claude keeps her at a distance. Trust is dangerous. Emotional attachment is a weakness. Yet, despite all her defenses, there is a moment when Claude seems to let her guard down, when she allows herself to care for Sidonie. But in the end, true to her nature, she remains untouchable, unwilling to break the walls she built around herself. All power is temporary. Madame Claude's empire was built on secrecy, but secrets are only valuable as long as they remain hidden. The moment the political landscape shifts, the same forces that once protect her turn against her. When the government no longer found her useful, she was abandoned. The police, who had once been her silent partners, withdrew their protection, and suddenly Madame Claude was vulnerable. She fled to the countryside, but she could not outrun the consequences. Arrested first for tax evasion and later for prostitution, she was sentenced to 3 years in prison. When she emerged, the world had changed. The era of discreet transactions and whispered deals was fading. The empire she had built no longer existed. And so, she was left with nothing. No money, no influence, no loyal followers, just the weight of a life spent chasing control, only to end up powerless. Perhaps the most tragic aspect of Madame Claude's story is not that she lost everything, but that she never truly had anything to begin with. She cut off her past, but she never truly escaped it. She surrounded herself with people, yet remained emotionally isolated. She gained power, but it was never hers to keep. And in the end, her greatest fear came true. Not poverty, not imprisonment, but irrelevance. A woman who had once been at the center of a hidden empire spent her final years simply waiting for the inevitable. The story of Madame Claude is not just about the rise and fall of a powerful woman. It is about the illusion of control, about the price of survival, about a woman who believed she could erase her past only to become a prisoner of it. Was she a victim of a system designed to discard women once they were no longer useful? Or was she the architect of her own downfall? One thing is certain, Madame Claude did not live a life of regrets, but perhaps, in the silence of her final years, she wondered if, after all the power, all the wealth, all the control, it had ever truly been worth it.